The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on Facebook because it's events time. It's time for the Sue-Ellen Sanders Show with your host, Sue-Ellen Sanders.
Welcome to the Sue-Ellen Sanders Show and Happy New Year to you. We are starting the new year with a show that will give you a lot of information about a way that we can give back to the community, or that you can get help from the community depending on where you are right now in your life. And wherever you are, we know it's always changing. And that's really the only thing that you can guarantee. Canieria Gardner is the executive director of an organization called, it's referred to as the Up Center, but it's actually United Against Poverty. And they have a location that is on Orange Avenue, but in addition to the location, they have a lot of outreach programs. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. But welcome to the show, Canieria.
Thank you.
And you are fairly new to your position, but you're not new to the Up Center, right?
That's absolutely correct. I actually was a program director for our Vero Beach campus for almost 3 years before I transitioned into the new leadership in St. Lucie County as the executive director.
That's awesome. Connect for me, if you would, the Treasure Coast United Against Poverty, and then how does the Up Center of St. Lucie County fit into that picture? Are you all together as a Treasure Coast organization?
Oh, actually, we have 3 locations. We have Vero Beach, Orlando, and St. Lucie County. And the good thing that I like about the organization, even though we're in different areas, we're still united against poverty. Annabelle Robertson is the executive director for our Vero Beach campus, and Eric Gray is the executive director for our Orlando campus, but we all are united.
And United Against Poverty in each of those 3 different areas probably looks a little different depending on the area you're in. But there's some things that are universal to all the areas.
Absolutely. We have a programs department in which we have 4 cornerstone programs, which are crisis stabilization. That's a program that helps anybody who is in crisis mode. They can come in and get referred to our community partners. And also we have individuals that work with us that work with them in order to stabilize them.
Okay.
We have
wait, before you move forward, let's talk about that just for a minute. So when you say crisis stabilization, you mean it could be a crisis is like a one-time occurrence or something that happened that changed the course of your life. You may have lost your job. You may have gotten into an accident. You might have had a change in your family dynamics, but whatever, or a death or something, whatever brought you to a crisis.
Absolutely.
Right?
It could be something like you lost your health care and you need assistance, or it could be that you facing eviction and you need referral services to the community partners that handle those crises in our community. It could be that you lost your job, and we do have a STEP program, which I'll talk to you about. It's our employment program, which we help not only help individuals find employment, but give them the skills that they need to move forward in their life.
Right. So that's the first cornerstone is crisis stabilization.
Yes, and then we have our member share grocery program, which is a dignified food alternative to going to a food bank, I would say. This is more of a partnership like that we have with the participants of that program, our members, in which they can come in and utilize our services to save up to 60 to 70% of retail value on their food bill per month.
But at the same time, as they're purchasing the food, even though they're purchasing it at a discount, the money that they're using is also going towards programs for United Against Poverty, right? I mean, it's kind of a full circle.
Absolutely.
Where they're getting a discount on their food, a substantial discount if you're talking, 60 to 70%. But at the same time, the monies that they are paying are going back into the organization to help the community.
Absolutely. Basically, what they pay is a handling fee, because we have to go pick up the product and bring the product back and sort the product. So they pay the portion of the handling fee, which costs us to do that. And so that's why it's like a shared cost program with our members. But definitely, we do use some of those resources to go back into the programs department to help the community.
And do people have to qualify for that program?
Yes, you have to be at or below the 200% of the federal poverty level.
Which is, I know it depends on the number of family members you have, but what is that range about?
It really depends on how many. The driver for that is the individuals in your household.
Right.
Definitely, the more individuals you have in your household, the more income you can make. Like, I'm just giving an example. I don't have the exact numbers, but you definitely can Google the information, the federal poverty level. Let's say an individual, a family size of 4, roughly around $30,000 to $40,000.
And to qualify for UP, you have to be at no more than 200%.
You can't be over 201%.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that means you could make twice the amount that is the federal poverty level, which you'd be surprised the number of people that qualify. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, but people might be surprised.
Absolutely.
The number of people in full-time occupations where they're working 40 hours or more per week that qualify for that.
Absolutely. According to the last census, out of the 100,000 households that they surveyed, over 55,000 of those households are considered the working poor. And so that's a large amount of households that cannot afford their basic necessities, such as housing, childcare, food, transportation, and healthcare.
And that's really important to you can't really move on to anything unless those things are taken care of, those basic necessities. And it's important to realize that there's a misconception, I believe, from people who are upper middle class or higher upper class, or many of those people, that the people that are at poverty level or that are part of the United Against Poverty program or other programs like that are people that are sitting around or waiting in unemployment lines. But that's not true. They're, like you said, the working poor.
Absolutely. The working poor is the individuals who work hard.
Yes.
Very hard. Sometimes have 2, maybe 3 jobs.
Yeah.
But just cannot, the money that they're making does not sustain their entire family. And so sometimes it comes to where they have to pay their light bill or maybe buy groceries. And so that's why UP exists, is because our mission is to help individuals we have a hand up, not a handout model, and which is a dignified way to help individuals reach their own destiny to become self-sufficient.
And of course, in an ideal world, any type of crisis that's an economic crisis would be a temporary thing, and that by giving the people who need it a hand up, that you'll be able to move them out of crisis mode into something that resembles some type of stable life.
Absolutely. That brings me to our another program that we have called STEP, which is Success Training Employment Program. It's a 3-phase program composed of 120 hours, in which that individual comes in from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. For 6 weeks. In those 6 weeks, they have 40 hours of emotional intelligence, 40 hours of workplace skills, and 40 hours of job acquisition skills. And you would be amazed if something happened around week 3 that these individuals, they're so highly motivated, they're ready to get back to work. And we have in that phase 1, we have the facilitator that works with them to teach them the classroom instruction. We also have a workforce development manager that works one-on-one with them to place them into employment. We have over 121 employment partners along the Treasure Coast. And also we have a success coach that once they go into employment, that success coach works one-on-one with them to make sure that they stay employed, and also to get put together a career plan, because sometimes you might just need a job to pay bills, but it's not your career.
Right.
And so we help them to implement that career plan. We track their promotions, and the goal is to help them reach over the 201% of the federal poverty level, and the government deems that as being self-sufficient, and we follow them for up to 3 years. That's the thing that I'm most proud about, that we have that case management, that we can help someone for up to 3 years after they go through step phase 1.
Well, and that's really important too, because although they might feel comfortable after they've graduated from the program and they have their first job, there might be some little setback that all of a sudden throws them for a loop. And if they have somebody who is mentoring them, who's staying with them, and they can just encourage them or help them find the help that they need somewhere along the line. That's awesome.
Yes, that's absolutely amazing. That's one thing I think I'm the most proud of. When I worked in Vero Beach as the program director there, I was very instrumental in the STEP program. And so just this past April, our programs department came to St. Lucie County. And so we have the program. It's a new program, but we're helping individuals. Just this year alone, we helped almost 30 people find employment, and which is a big deal, because we have a big goal this year to help twice that. But everybody that we place into employment, it's a $51,000 economic impact that goes back into the community. And so definitely by supporting the program, and we look at a person, the whole view of a person, because sometimes when you individuals go through work readiness programs, once they get a job, that's it. They cut off all services to them. And, you know, sometimes you get a job, you don't like that job, you might lose that job for any unforeseen reason, and you need help finding another job. Or in our at our center, they can just come back in or call their success coach, and we can help immediately find them, getting them back into employment, bring them back in, and giving them more services.
It sounds like in order to make the programs work, though, you need a lot of partners in the community.
Oh, absolutely. That's very important. Right now, we have 121 employer partner relationships.
Wow.
Yes,
that's
very proud of it.
incredible.
Absolutely. And that's because our sister program in Vero Beach is started in 2015, and so we've been building those employer partner relationships since that time. So since we came to St. Lucie County with our programs department, it's the Treasure Coast that you mentioned before. We do work very close together because we share our workforce development manager, and he's the one who manages those relationships. And it's all the benefit of the participants that come through our program.
Well, so you mentioned 3 different cornerstones. Is there one more?
Absolutely. We have a education program, and with the education program, it's for those lifetime learners that want to come in and learn about budgeting or nutrition or computer skills. And we have community partners, once again, that come and help facilitate those classes free of charge.
That's incredible. And you also have a situation where you said lifetime learning. There may be a situation where you have women or men who were home with the kids when they were younger, and now that the kids are in a program where they can take care of themselves, or they're in school, or they're grown and they don't need the time. Every year that goes by, technology is moving so quickly that it's really easy to get behind, and then you feel like you're not employable because you don't have the skills that you need.
Absolutely.
So even if you had a job 10 years ago and now you feel like, well, the kids are old enough now to get off the bus and go home and do their homework and then I can work, you may not be able to slip back into the workforce where you stepped out.
Absolutely. Actually, we have the majority of our population that go through our STEP program is that age group of probably around 45 to 55 years of age, and that age group is going back to work. We have some baby boomers that have retired, but also want to get back in and go back to work. So for those generation, it's completely different as far as finding a job than previous. Because before you can just walk in, give somebody your resume, or fill out an application. Pretty much everybody now tell you to go online.
Yeah.
But you have to have a strong computer skills in order to just upload your resume online.
Because a lot of times what you need to upload or change, you need to figure out, as you said, with strong computer skills, but you may not have all the equipment that you need to do it too. And I know the last time I was at the Ep Center, which was a few years ago, that you had a whole area that had computer stations.
Absolutely. That's our Life Enrichment Center, in which we facilitate a STEP out of that center. Also, all of our educational workshops is facilitated there. We do credit repair workshops because it's important to have good credit if you want to go into home ownership. But definitely those individuals that come into the program that's just looking to get back to work, we give them the skills that they need to get back to work. We teach them how to build their resume. We teach them Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. We teach them how to interview, because even the interview process has changed.
It has, and even more so, it's so easy to get out of practice.
Absolutely.
If you haven't been interviewing. I know when my daughter was first interviewing for her first job out of school, she was complaining about the fact that she didn't get the first couple jobs she interviewed for, and that it had been a waste of time. And I said, no, the interview process itself is not a waste of time, because you learn and you take away from each interview that you do, and then you find yourself at another interview and you're responding the way that you've trained yourself to be that way, because you've learned from the past interviews.
Absolutely. And even our workforce development manager, because he is the one that manages the employer relationships, he has a good understanding of what they're looking for. So he preps them for the interview prior to how to answer the questions, how to, just from your posture, or even how to do a panel interview, because what's going on now is that you have a lot more panel interviews or group interviews.
Yes, yeah.
And that can be intimidating.
It can be very intimidating, because you have 3 or 4 people that are all experts at whatever company, and they're all looking at you.
Absolutely.
and there's just one, even just the whole thing about eye contact. Whose eye contact do you make?
Absolutely.
So that's really great that you have somebody that works with them. How about the clothing end of it? A lot of times people who've been out of the workforce for a while, or looking to move into another part of the workforce, they don't have the wardrobe for it.
We do have a career closet.
You do?
Yes, we have a career closet. So any individual that's going through STEP can shop in the career closet. If they have interviews coming up, they can just go pick out their sizes, try them on, and take interview attire home with them, so they are prepared. Like, we help them to get prepared from every step in the process of finding employment.
Well, Canieria, just talking to you about the 4 cornerstones and some of the programs that you offer at United for Poverty, it's obvious that there are a lot of different places where you can use donations, volunteer help, and other ways of getting involved, or even just donations of clothes for, maybe you're listening to this and you've changed careers and you have half a wardrobe, or you've changed sizes and you have a wardrobe, and you don't know really what to do with it. So, you can just bring your clothes over to the Ep Center. And is there, I know you have a very well-developed website, and then you're also located on Facebook, so people can find you through either one of those things. But is there a certain time frame where you take donations like that for the closet?
We take them year round. Someone can just come in. Our STEP coordinator, her name is Minta Caldwell, and her email address is Minta, MINTA, at upcenters.org. They can email her, or they can email me at Canieria@upcenters.org, or they can just come in, talk to someone at the welcome desk, and they will definitely either get me or get Miss Minta out, and we can take those donations because they're important and they're needed.
And just talking about the type of donations, we're not just talking about suits, because people who are in the workforce wear all types of different clothing.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about anywhere from khakis to button-down shirts to nice polo shirts for guys, right up to suits and ties and shirts. To that level. For women, the same thing, different types of pants, shirts, or jackets, or just really, as long, blue jeans probably don't fit as much into the workforce, and I'm sure there's other places. As a matter of fact, probably Graceway Village's program wants the blue jeans for their kids, but there's a lot of opportunity for, if you're somebody who was cleaning out your closet at the beginning of the new year, this is a good place for you to be donating the information for. Also, if you are a business that wants to partner with the United Against Poverty program, there are a lot of different ways you can do that.
Absolutely. We have sponsorships for our events, which they can get sponsorship packages, which include radio or the possibility of TV ads and stuff like that. It's all kind of ways that businesses can partner with us. If they want to get more involved and become a board member, they can do it that way. Or what we're doing right now, a big push, is volunteers. So any corporations that would like your whole entire staff to get more involved with the efforts of volunteering for the community, we're taking volunteer groups also for different projects. So it's a lot of ways, definitely financial. If you don't have the time, but you might have the financial capacity to donate to our program, definitely contact me. Once again, that's Canieria at upcenters.org. That's CANIERIA at upcenters.org. But definitely get involved because it's so extremely important.
You have a number of special events that are coming up, and we're going to go over those in the next segment of the show, and we'll talk about how people can get involved that way as well. You're listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and Canieria Gardner, who is the Executive Director of United Against Poverty for St. Lucie County, is my guest. So join us in just a few minutes right after the news. We'll talk about some events that UP is doing in our area.
Welcome back to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. You're just in time here, Sue Ellen Sanders again.
Welcome back. And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Canieria Gardner. She is the Executive Director of the United Against Poverty program in St. Lucie County. And of course, Canieria, you explained that United Against Poverty is actually part of a larger organization with offices in St. Lucie County and in Vero Beach and in Orlando.
Yes.
But you are in charge of the programs that are here in St. Lucie County. And of course, in St. Lucie County, there are things that, as you said, in Indian River County, the program department had been more active, and so you're able to use that part of the program that they're doing to help guide what you're doing here in St. Lucie County. And so that's one of the items that are growing by leaps and bounds of the programs.
Absolutely. Our program department is probably the one of the most important elements that United Against Poverty have to help move the needle on poverty. Our STEP program is a program that is doing tremendous leaps and bounds in order to help somebody go from poverty to prosperity. It's extremely very important. That's very important work to help someone literally in a crisis mode, kind of, where they don't know some don't know where their next meal might be coming from, to buckle down to a 6-week program, complete the 6-week program, and their only incentive is to have a better life.
So question here. If you're part of the program, if you sign up for the program, how do you get through that 6 weeks? I mean, how do you financially get through the 6 weeks if you're already in crisis? Do you have partnerships to take care of that?
Well, definitely our crisis department help to stabilize them prior to starting
So
STEP.
before you start the STEP,
Absolutely.
you're already offering them the stabilized situation where they've got that 6 weeks to spare to be part of the program. Because a lot of times that cycle, that vicious cycle is, they don't have time to learn these things. They don't have time to step aside. They just have to, it's like being the hamster on the treadmill. You just have to keep going on the treadmill, and, there's no opportunity to grow and learn. And so your stabilization program gives them the tool, what they need to have that 6 weeks to be part of the program.
Absolutely. The focus of the program is to help somebody find employment. And a lot of our participants actually find employment prior to the 6 weeks, which is a good thing. So definitely the classroom instruction is a 6-week process. But if you find employment prior to the 6 weeks, because we have been working with you, that 101 to find employment, to upload your resume, to practice those interview skills. And so we have a lot of people, once they get that skill set, take the initiative to start applying for jobs right away, in which, they go in, ace the interview, because we do a lot of mock interviews prior to that first initial interview. They ace the interview, they get employed. So once, if they have to leave the class because they got employed, we count that towards like job training,
because it's on the job
it's
training.
on the job training.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So some 6 weeks is a month and a half, and to some that might seem like, oh my gosh, I can't sit here for a month and a half. I have bills. But what you get out of it, it'll transform your life. And I seen individuals who came in our program literally homeless, living in a homeless shelter. We worked with them. We got them employed to one of the biggest employers in our Treasure Coast. They stayed there for, they've been there 2 years now, but at this point they was there for over a year, in which we work with them in phase 3. The success coach helped them with their credit, because phase 3 has goals, and those goals are to increase their credit score, decrease their debt, and also increase their savings. So last year I was excited because I went to this individual's home dedication service. So she literally went from a homeless shelter to a homeowner. And that's why I do what I do. I love helping people. I love to transform individuals' lives and just be a part of that process with them.
And, that's obviously a big success story, but success means a lot of different things to different people. And, it might be home ownership, or it might be, just the secure feeling of knowing that you're not wondering where your next meal is coming from, and that you have a roof over your head, even if it is a rented roof. But, you still, to be able to take advantage of that type of training, there are probably plenty of people that are not qualified for your service because they make too much money, but they probably need some of the services that you offer, because and I know different organizations do that type of, but you're offering lifelong skills because
Absolutely.
that's the skill of knowing how to build your credit rating, what to do, how to correctly balance your budget, how to set your priorities. Those are lifelong learning skills that will only make them more successful as the years go by.
Absolutely. We entered into a partnership recently with Reach, who is a HUD certified agency, and they facilitated three credit repair workshops, financial literacy workshops in the month of December. And the workshops were so large you couldn't even find a seat. And
That's great that many people are looking for help, isn't it?
Absolutely, and not only do they help, they're also lenders also. So they're, and if you need home repairs, they can help you just with basic home repairs. So it's a really good partnership. I'm excited about it because to me it's a natural progression from our STEP program, helping somebody to get self-sufficient. Now let's look at your budget. Let's look at your financial literacy skills to help move you into a home ownership, because once again that helps the economy. And definitely it helps that individual. And I see participant after participant who came in lacked a lot of motivation, lack confidence, and so to come into our STEP program where we give them emotional intelligence, that's the ability to not only understand your emotions but everybody else's emotions around you, interpersonal skills, the soft skills. Our employers sometimes tell us that they can train anybody how to do a job, but they can't train anybody how to have a good attitude. You have to have that coming in.
And that's definitely something that is a learned asset. People aren't just born knowing how to deal with other people.
Absolutely. And what I really like is that our company, we focus it on the emotional intelligence in our job workforce development program. We're probably one of the only organizations that do that in Florida. And the first time that I learned about emotional intelligence, I was taking a master's level class. But for our organization to offer emotional intelligence to anybody who is coming through STEP, that's absolutely amazing. Normally, organizations don't get that type of training into only to upper level management.
It's true, and that's why that upper level management is always so successful, and to be able to give those tools to people, no matter what job they're in currently, is going to give them that extra step up that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And that's your whole point.
Absolutely. And that's why employers love us. They love us to send our participants to them because they don't have those blow-ups at work. They know how to process criticism better, and they don't internalize it. And that's important to move just forward in life, to move forward in a job, is emotional intelligence. And also statistics show that people who make more money at work have a higher level of emotional intelligence. So
that's interesting. Or turn it around, that the people who have the higher level of emotional intelligence made more money at work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The causal relationship there. Now, you can't do it alone. So we were talking about sponsorships that people can do, but we're also talking about some special events you have coming up where you can have fun and also be part of raising money for United Against Poverty. So before we run out of time, because you and I are having a good time talking about the details about what you give to the community, so let's talk about what the community can do to give back to you.
Absolutely. We do have our first ever Fool's Day 5K, which is a sanctioned 5K run. That's going to be Saturday, March 30th at 8 a.m. at South Causeway Park in Fort Pierce, Florida. It's just a fun, it's going to be a fun day. It's right before April's Fool's Day. And it's an opportunity for you to volunteer. It's an opportunity for you to run. We have an early bird special of $25. The day of the event is going to be $30. But I'm excited to have this opportunity to come to St. Lucie County because just like you said, it's a way that a family can have fun and also raise money for United Against Poverty.
And you can sign up online as well as
Absolutely, you can sign up.
through
We have a
their
website.
Yes.
Foolsday5k.org. That's FOOLSDAY 5k.org.
And it looks like the logo that is on your flyer here is really cute, and that usually means the T-shirts are going to be really cute.
Yes, the T-shirts are going to be cute.
And I have to say, yes, there are some really serious runners out there. There's plenty of them. But there's also a lot of recreational runners or recreational walkers who like to enter the 5Ks. And one of our favorite things is, a really fun T-shirt with a great logo on it. And
Absolutely.
it looks like you're going to be supplying that. So T-shirts with the race entry?
Yes, T-shirts as well as the funny glasses that's on the logo.
Awesome.
Everybody's going to get those as well.
So they get their kind of the glasses that come with the fake nose. Do they come with the fake nose, or are they just the glasses?
I believe they come with the fake nose, and also when you're running, we're gonna spray silly string on you. It's gonna be
cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be a take different stop and pose for different photos
Yes.
while you run. It's just going to be a very entertaining race.
So it's definitely going to be the type of 5K that you can have a good time doing it, and it's also going to be spring, so the weather will still be mild enough for you to be comfortable doing it. You can sign up at foolsday5k.org, and early bird registration is, you said $25. Okay, $25, and then the day of the race is $30.
Yes.
And you get your T-shirt, and you get to be part of the race, and then you get your who's the comedian with the Cliff? Help me here. The comedian with the Groucho, isn't it Groucho with the glasses? One of those old-fashioned comedians that. When you put on the glasses and the nose with the mustache, you're supposed to be like. So it was one of those guys. But it'd be a lot of fun, a lot of photo ops to be a part of. And, if you pre-register for $25, you and your friends can get registered and get out there and have a fun day. It's a Fort Pierce race, and you're running through the park there. So do you go over and back across the bridge?
Yes, ma'am. And also, the good thing that I like about another event, I don't want to go off a good thing I like about this event, I meant to say, is that groups of 10 or more is $20.
Oh, so a discount for
Yes.
groups. So how do they do that? Is there a place to indicate on the
website?
the
Yes.
website? That's awesome. So get a bunch of friends together, and you can get a discount when you're registering together, but you do have to register together, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So don't try to do that thing where you register and then a week later your friend registers, because that's not going to count. So, but go ahead and write this down, or you can get that information from us or Lynette here at the radio station during the work week from 9 to 5. Fool's Day 5K, and you can register online and check it out. And the earlier you register, the more you can spread the word about the fun that you're going to have. March 30th is going to be here in no time.
Absolutely.
So do you have other special events that are coming up as well?
We're actually in the process of finalizing the date. Literally we should have it finalized by tomorrow. But it's going to be mid-March. We're going to have a comedy night at Sunrise Theater, which is going to be our first ever. And so I'm excited about that also.
So a comedy night, that will also be a fundraiser.
Yes, it's going to be a fundraiser for Uniting Against Poverty. And then every October, we have our Hands Up Luncheon. which is another way to bring awareness to Uniting Against Poverty, and also another way to give. But every other week, we have tours. We call them lunch and learns, in which they can come and learn about the organization, and they can have a tour of the property, and we talk about where we are now and where we're going. Because we do have some goals that we want to achieve in up St. Lucie.
Well, speaking of those goals, you want to take a minute and just talk about some of the goals that you talk about on your Lunch and Learn?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely one of the things that we talk about on the Lunch and Learn is once we educate them on our center, we talk about ways that they can get involved. Anywhere from being a table captain at our Hands Up Luncheon, or being a volunteer, because definitely the long-term goal is to have Unite Against Poverty St. Lucie to be kind of like a one-stop shop. A place where we can house at least 12 to 14 other nonprofit organizations that if somebody in poverty needs to help them overcome barriers, because transportation in this county is a tremendous barrier for employment, to going to the doctor. Yeah, so if everybody's housed in the same location, it'll make it easier for the clients to be serviced. And so that's our overall goal. Actually, right now on property, we're only using half of the space. The other half is for a future build out of that particular type of vision for our county, is to expand STEP on that other side, as well as bring in anywhere from 12 to 14 community partners that can better serve our clients.
And just thinking out loud, you wouldn't really have to have those community partners staff 5 days a week. They could, say, okay, we're going to be there on every Monday.
Absolutely.
And, staff it every Monday. And then people know if they're coming from that area on Mondays, they can go to the Up Center, St. Lucie, and they could get whatever services from that agency that they need. That's a wonderful idea.
Absolutely. That's when our crisis care will really come full circle, because not only will we have those connections already with the community partners, but we can also set up the appointments. So when that community partner is there, we'll set the appointment for them, for the client, just to take away that, that middle person. Because sometimes if you go in needing help, they'll refer you to this organization. They'll tell you to call this organization. This way, our crisis person will call the organizations for them, make the appointment. So all the client has to do is just show up. And then they know, and then the organization also knows that if they're there on Mondays, that they're going to have clients to see. Absolutely.
So rather than just kind of sit there and wait. So it sounds like your vision's an awesome one.
Absolutely.
And transportation is a problem in St. Lucie County, and we hear it time and again. And hopefully as a county and in the cities, that will be able to move forward with more transit. I know that's something that they're working with, and things like bike paths and alternative methods of transportation. But in the meanwhile, having a one-stop shop type of situation for people who are in need of that hand up is just a really good way to fix things. And Up can't do it alone, and that's the most important thing to realize, is a lot of times people, they know your organization's name, but they don't know exactly what you do. And they say, oh, yeah, it's that storefront on Orange Avenue. But it's way more than a storefront.
Absolutely. Majority of the time when people think about Uniting Against Poverty, they think about our food program.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome food program. But we also have other programs that are designed to move the needle of poverty. Definitely our food program can help an individual save anywhere from 60 to 70% of the household food budget. But also we have a program STEP that we help individuals find employment. We help empower them, and we help to help them stay sustainable once they find that employment for up to 3 years. And that's what makes us different than any other workforce program probably in the state of Florida.
And the whole idea that you're training is a multi-pronged training, that it's computer literacy, it's financial literacy, and it's emotional intelligence. You know, you're really training the whole body,
absolutely,
so to speak, instead of just, you know, giving them the skills that they need for the job they want. Step one, you're giving them the skills that they need for jobs that they may transition to in step 2 and step 3 and so forth. The rest of their life, these are skills that they'll be able to use.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on giving them lifelong skills that not only can they find employment, but they can keep the employment. And what we find is when they do that, they help to empower their family members. We have a lot of individuals that refer their kids. Like one cohort setting, we had a grandmother and a granddaughter in there. She's going back into the work in the work world, and the granddaughter is going into the work world for the first time in her life. So it was very fascinating seeing their dynamics.
Yeah, and that's interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because it shows that the different levels of help at the different stages in their life that people need. And it's not a women's only program, it's not a men's only program. It is for any gender, but it's also for any age.
Absolutely. I mean, the youngest person that we had was 17. The oldest person that we had was 89.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. Well, Canieria Gardner has been my guest today, and she's been talking about United Against Poverty, and she is the executive director for St. Lucie County. And if you want to get involved with the organization, you can look them up. Their website is unitedagainstpoverty.org. And you can look them up also on Facebook. And you can sign up for their first Fool's Day 5K at foolsday5k.org. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you next week with more.